My work was on the idea of sustaining performance in organizations, the idea of transcending paradox, and the fact that organizations are built on a set of balances that can ultimately drive ongoing performance. The premise is that there's nothing that we ultimately achieve. There's nothing to be achieved. So these words that end in ED, for instance, are not what we're looking for, but the actual art of sustaining, carrying on with that ING is an ongoing effort. And what that really relates to is three main ideas that I call the art of balancing. And it's about how leaders create opportunities in an organization for both informing, but inquiring what's happening in their organization. The next one around culture, which is around being both agile, but also consistent in purpose. And the third, which is around being both the individual perspective that's both collective in nature, but strong individuals that contribute to what's happening in an organization. And each one of those three are in this constant state of balancing. You don't pick one side or the other, but you're constantly moving between those two. Organizations that do that effectively have proven, through my research at least, to be sustaining performance over time versus other organizations that don't. So leaders currently are, I think, still struggling somewhat with that balance. I believe, and we've heard it even here at the Institute, that they're looking for specific ways to address things. The punch card or the 3 or 4 tricks by which they address this. What I think they are struggling with is the fact that they can be more fluid in their decisions, so they know that they need to be informative, the sort of the formal leader that we see, but at the same time it's okay for leaders to ask, to inquire, to engage, to not know everything in a way that allows them to have a greater impact on organizational life. And I think that's a challenge still for some in the traditional mindset of leadership. When leaders inquire, I think they open up a huge amount of possibility in their organizations. What tends to occur is if leaders direct, we sort of narrow the scope, I think, of what we can accomplish. When leaders open up inquiry, they pull in the voices of the many and create much greater possibility for outcomes in organizations. Sustaining performance and change is important. If we look at the nature of today's organizational world, the dynamics of how things are in constant flux, think the idea of chaos and complex adaptive systems, and the fact that the world is in constant movement, the fact that sustaining becomes important is that ultimately when I say sustaining, it's about the ability to manage that moving forward. It's not about finding a place to be, but it's about being on a track that allows you to continually grow, move, dynamically shift in ways that actually have huge impact on the organization. So rather than trying to be a change agent, for instance, you really are an agent of changing. When you're thinking about creating high performance and sustaining high performance, it's about ensuring that you are in constant movement to ensure that that happens. And I think the world today really begs that in terms of the actions that we take in organizations. If I look out 5 years, I think organizations will continually be struggling with this idea of change, but I think it will be from a much more dynamic nature. So I think we'll still be talking about it. I think these fundamental ideas of leadership, change, purpose, vision, those are kind of core ideas within, I think, the organizational life that we face day to day. But I think as people see and realize the true dynamic nature, the speed by which things are occurring, the focus that we take, that I think the conversation will actually evolve to more of an idea of changing, continuing thought, movement in a way that we can't choose static moments in time and have those be our reality, but we have to be in constant flow to allow the right kind of things to happen in organizations.